everyone, and welcome to my new channel. I am Carius, and this is the DisKord. The DisKord, as you can probably tell, is a gravity-fed, double Nerf rival Khaos, with linked triggers running off of two 3S LiPos, and a ridiculous 500-round plastic bin on top. You may recognize this from the Nerf Subreddit shotgun contest, except there's a couple new additions, namely a handle and foregrip, because holding a Nerf rival Khaos upside down kind of works, but it's not ideal. And when you strap two of them together, you've got this awkward mess that stubborn me was trying to make work a couple weeks ago, but then I realized, hey, I can just bolt a Titan barrel here, add a Dominator trigger, and suddenly it's wonderful. Now both of these Khaoses have been rewired for 3S LiPos. One much cleaner than the other one, because one was my first rewire and the other was my second rewire as the exact same gun. And as you can imagine, it goes much smoother when you've already done it before. But they're both wired for 3S LiPos. So I got my two LiPos. These are the batteries that Drac recommended for the Khaos. And Drac's video is also how I learned how to rewire the Khaos. So I'll link that in the description if you're curious. The only thing to keep in mind if you're following Drac's video, if you go down and buy all the materials that he suggests, the charger you get will not come with a charging cable to charge XT60 connectors. So you'll need to pick that up separately as well. But other than that, everything worked great, and thank you, Drac. So let's get the batteries in and show you how this thing fires. Alrighty. So I leave these unscrewed so I can just pop them off. The Velcro kind of helps hold them in place. And I've got pool noodle inserts that just kind of help the batteries not rattle around. Let's get this thing powered up. Well, that was harder than it should have been. Alright, it's all powered up. Let's listen to it. So we got one Khaos, two Khaos, both Khaoses. Now, as well as being much higher capacity than your standard Khaos, I'd also not feel too hyperbolic if I were to call this the fastest reloading Khaos. Ta-da! Done. So then, you've got however many rounds I just dumped in there worth of rival ridiculousness. God, these are going to go everywhere. They did indeed go everywhere. Okay, so let's cut to some actual firing demonstrations. Got the DisKord loaded up with about 50 rounds because I don't want to pick up 500. And we're just going to shoot just to show you how it performs. Looking at an average of about 60 feet. What I'm noticing with this is since the Khaos is upside down, the hop-up is upside down also. And the ammo is dropping a lot faster than you would expect from a 3S Khaos. So the next step might be reversing the hop-up direction by relocating those little rubber tabs. I just loaded up one side of the Khaos and I'm going to make sure it's revved up fully before firing it. Still about 60 to 70 feet. You can see the ball is kind of arcing downward because of the reversed hop-up, so I definitely need to fix that. Okay, so I've got my chronograph set up, and I'm going to attempt to fire single shots out of the DisKord and see what kind of FPS we get. seems to be able to actually keep up with it, so let's just go for it. Okay, so as you can see, we averaged about 100 on the initial rev up shots, and from 115 to 120 when it's fully revved up. So this handle, if you can see there, we've got random pieces, Titan barrel, Dominator parts, and most important, Dominator trigger. This is linked via paracord. See if you can get a good angle on that, to both of the triggers, both firing triggers anyway. It's not a really good angle to show this actually, but yeah, you can kind of see paracord loops into both firing triggers and then into the Dominator trigger down here. And what that does is you've got this handle that you can grip, Dominator trigger, and as I pull this, you see all 4 triggers pull at once. It turns out, when you remove the trigger lock for the rev switch into the firing switch, the rev switch has a little notch that gets in the way of the firing switch. So when you pull the firing trigger, it pulls the rev trigger as well. So all I had to do was link the 2 firing triggers, and suddenly it revs and fires with 1 trigger pull. On the top, we have a plastic bin / hopper that holds about 500 rounds and feeds by gravity directly into both mag wells. Now, to get a Khaos to feed properly via gravity, you have to guide the rival rounds into the conveyor belt. If you just throw them into the mag well and expect it to work, they will double stack, they will jam, they will shove themselves into the space next to the flywheels and gum up the whole system. It's not going to work. So what I've got here are 2 HDPE plastic sheets with 2 basically CPVC spacers, about a 1-inch thickness, that guides the balls into the conveyor belt, and most importantly, single stacks all of them so that they can't get stuck in the ribbing of the internals of the shell. They can't go to the side of the flywheels where they will get stuck and stop the flywheels from even moving on a stock Khaos. And this is all you need to get it to gravity feed. You can use cardboard, you can use polycarb, any kind of plastic sheet, anything that is roughly an 1/8 inch thick, ignore the beeping, anything that's roughly an 1/8 inch thick, and you can cut into the shape of the inside of the mag wells and set against the internal plastic ribbing with some spacers, and then you're good to go. The bin is really just selected because it's the right size to fit on top of 2 Khaoses, and you can see I cut the mag wells down so that it would sit flush. And this feeds beautifully. As you can tell, there's not a lot of space on the inside here for the balls to just sit and get gunked up. On the side here, they will kind of gather around the edges of the bins, but a little bit of shaking and they fall right into the back. If you lean it upwards, you can see I've kind of cut out the back of the channels so that they will want to fall into the back of the hopper and then into the mag wells. So I can get every ball in this container to go into those mag wells with a little shaking. And I also have a ramp up here to help with feeding just a little bit. Now let's take off this hopper and give you a better view of the magwell inserts. These just have some cotter pins on them and a little hair tie kind of holding everything together. This should come right off. There we go. Now we have, oh my god, it's naked. Now we have our double Khaos, and you can see a lot clearer. I've just kind of built up 2 walls for the balls to fall into. These pieces are just held in by the shell. I can actually open it up and pull it right back out, no problem. You can also see some of the dirty work. I've got this cotter pin here and the other side of it here. That's what's holding the Khaos together. I've got, I believe, 5 of these throughout the blaster. Let's see, 1, 2, there's 2 in the back. Okay, yeah, there's 4, and then there's the bolts holding the handle together. So, this whole thing's bolted together, but it can be taken back apart. Velcro straps for extra security, and also sling mounting points. Now on the hopper itself, it's really simple. It's really just a plastic bin. I've got my own voodoo magic here for the supports that kind of just sit onto the blaster so I can remove the bin, but you could just bolt it on or Velcro it on or do whatever, as long as it's not going to move. You might have a little bit of issue with thin plastic like this. I have balls jam up in between the Khaos and the bin, but everything else feeds fine, so it's not a big deal. For the hinge, I've got this little contraption. I just drilled 2 holes in the bin and in the lid, put hair ties through them, and a little carabiner, and it makes a hinge that works pretty good. You can actually install a real hinge if you want to, but this works pretty good. It's flexible, and I mean, it's working good enough, so I replace it. Alright, let's reinstall this. Now let's take a look at the other side. You can see the hinge up here, and looks pretty much the same, except I've got the name sprayed on there. This was, I did a little template, little stencil out of cardstock, and just kind of sprayed it on. You can see some overspray, but that was the first attempt at stenciling. My next ones will be better, but I think it looks pretty good. Kind of matches the weird splattery tiger stripe mess that Nerf put on the other side. Now, of course, the name is just a play on Khaos with a K. It's a synonym for Chaos, DisKord, with a K. And you got kind of the die for 2. So, 2 Khaoses, DisKord. Also, to fire the DisKord, you pull on DisKord. Jesus Christ, that was awful. Now, a few of you in the SCNC had the privilege of seeing this thing in its infant form, where I had taken a stock Khaos and made it gravity fed with this. This is a butchered Khaos mag that I then inserted into an upside down Khaos and bolted this same Tupperware container to the side of it so I could just grab balls and dump them into the funnel. It worked okay. It was a stock Khaos, so the performance was not ideal. I didn't expect the caliber of mods that would show up at that war, so it was not competitive at all. So we've got hopper, and also you kind of have to grind away at the rails until all you're left with is this, so that the balls can just drop onto the conveyor. You want to be able to guide them, but not hold them in the clip. Without the spring power to guide these, they will just get stuck and you will not feed. So here's another way to do it. Butcher a Khaos mag and stick whatever you want on the top of it, and you have kind of a hopper adapter for a Khaos. So if you're running something like this, you need a plan for reloading. You don't do what I did, which is have a bunch of headshot ammo bags dangling from your belt, which then get tangled up and twisted up and you can't open them. Because then you'll get tagged out by a foam sword because you can't untangle your balls. I like running this and nothing else, because this is deceptively light. It's just 2 Khaoses. There's no D batteries in them. You got the lipos, you got a plastic container full of foam balls on the top. It's heavy for a Nerf gun, but it's not too heavy to run with. And if you have just this and nothing else on you, you can chase people down with something that will just spew foam at them, which is fantastic. And stick something like this on my spawn point, and so when I run out of ammo, I can just run back, dump some more balls in, and run back at the enemy team screaming. Another option, and probably a better option for most people, because you do want to have some emergency ammo on you, is let's steal some technology from the paintballers. Take a paintball pot, and you can fill these with about 60 rounds and put them in one of those very available paintball pod holsters that you can get on Amazon. And suddenly you got an extra 60 shots on your belt that you can, and suddenly you've got an extra 60 rounds that's on your belt that you can flip open real easily, dump into the Khaos or whatever hopper-fed monstrosity you choose to create, and you're good to go. Oh, and a quick shout out to OutofDarts. Thank you for providing a good source of headshot ammo that's slightly cheaper than Amazon, that also lets me support the community in a small way. Now you know who's been ordering so many Red Rival rounds. I highly recommend the Headshot brand. You can get them on Amazon, but they're cheaper if you go to OutofDarts, and I will add a link to the description to his Etsy shop where you can buy red, yellow, or blue Headshot rounds, which are really the best off-brand Nerf rounds available. They're basically the same as Nerf rounds at this point, except way cheaper. Okay, so Ryan from MakeTestBattle has thrown down the gauntlet, so to speak. He's trying to see if anybody else can do 400 rounds in under 40 seconds. So, I filled the DisKord with 420 rounds. Let's see how fast I can fire them into my prototype Defend the Core thing. Alright, let's go. I did say it was just a prototype. It doesn't really handle firepower of that magnitude, and there were balls everywhere, but let's see how long that took and see if it compares to Ryan's. So the footage you're seeing in the background is Mr. Nathan experimenting with adding a Rhino pusher motor to the Khaos, because his pusher motor burned out on him, as they are rumored to do. And as you can see, the rate of fire is completely ridiculous. It's something like 20 balls per second. Now, imagine if I did that to the DisKord, which I will do once the pusher motors burn out, if they do. And hopefully add a PWM to them so I can adjust the rate of fire, just like Mr. Nathan has done. Now, Mr. Nathan's Khaos at full speed doubles the rate of fire of the DisKord, and that's only one Khaos. So, if the DisKord's running Rhino pushers, we could hit 40 or 50 balls per second, which is ridiculous, and that would easily beat the Destiny on HPA. There will be a link in the description to Mr. Nathan's video, shown here, and also Ryan's video throwing the gauntlet down, in which they create an awesome HPA-powered Destiny and manage to throw out 420 rounds in, I think it was 45-ish seconds. So the next steps for the DisKord are obviously fixing the hop-up issue, and then replacing the pusher motors with Rhinos, and figuring out how to wire up the PWM. Shouldn't be too difficult. I think there's enough resources out there for me to learn the PWM stuff as well. So I'm hoping that once it reaches its final form, it will be truly terrifying. And if I end up upgrading it, I will do another video. Alright, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this look at the DisKord. This has been Carius, reminding you to have fun.